You know, the Biden situation disgusted me in terms of the parting only from this standpoint, Chris. Nobody on the planet, you want to be a cynic and you want to act like you would be offended by something like that if you're one of those people out there, fine. But no one within reason would have a problem with him saying, it's my son. I love him. There's no way I'm sending him to jail. And I have the power to avoid it. Nobody would blame him for that. But that's not where he went. So I didn't have a problem to answer your question directly with the decision that he made to pardon his son. Boo Boo the Fool knew he was going to do that. I don't care who he stood in front of or sat in front of and said that he wasn't going to pardon his son and he was just going to go by the letter of the law. Please, everybody and their grandmother knew he was going to pardon his son. But to come out and to start talking about how it's been a witch hunt and the Department of Justice and others were after him or whoever it was and, you know, the GOP rather was after him. Well, wait a minute. What have y'all been doing with Donald Trump all of these years? Now, you can...
Come on, Stephen A., man. Come on, man. I don't want to pause it yet because you're talking facts, but we gotta stop and just we gotta hear that part. We gotta hear that part. Y'all been doing it to Trump over and over and over again. Now it's a witch hunt on your side. Things are not adding up. The hypocrisy is crazy. It's crazy on that side now. But let's continue.
You can make an argument about the legitimacy of the cases against Donald Trump compared to what wasn't legitimate, etc. That's not the point. The point is it was clearly politicized. You had folks on the left who were hell-bent on going after Donald Trump because they were determined to make sure that he couldn't run for re-election or that these elements would get in the way of him possibly winning re-election. And now we know why more than ever, because they weren't confident they would ever be able to beat him. He'd been a Republican nominee since 2016. He beat Hillary Clinton with the Electoral College vote. He wouldn't concede defeat in 2020, but he did receive over 74 million votes at that particular moment in time. And then you fast forward 4 years later, despite the 34 felony convictions, the 2 impeachments, the bevy of crimes that he had been accused of, the Republican voters out there, the conservative voters out there, and a lot of independents from various communities said, he's the guy we want, and I've said it on many, many occasions. It wasn't about him. Just like it wasn't about Biden in 2020, it was more against Trump. In this particular instance, it was an indictment against the Biden administration, what had been going on for the last 4 years, some of the things going on with the border, obviously inflation, of course, crime in the streets, of course, woke and cancel culture and all of that, it all played a role. And so for him to come out and to talk about that this was a witch hunt when clearly it could be argued that's exactly what you were doing to Donald Trump, or you assisted in doing, seems beyond hypocritical. And that was what disgusted me. It wasn't his decision. It wasn't him pardoning his son. It was the weak, pathetic explanation that he gave, which has most critics just shaking their heads and raising their eyebrows.
I mean, it's politics. At this point, I get it. Y'all, this politics stuff, bro, for real, like, people get really invested into this thing, but at the end of the day, it's all about making money. It is all about making money. It is all about bringing the economy, bringing entertainment, bringing policy also, obviously, but at the end of the day, this is about making money. It's crazy to say, but that's what it is. We all knew he was going to pardon his son, even though he got on live television and told us he was not going to. He could have been real to the people and just say, I'm going to pardon my son. But he was not man enough to say it. I'll be honest with you. He was not man enough to say it. Trump, on the other hand, you better be you know well that if his son was facing the same charges, he wouldn't blink an eye. He would stand up on live television and say it like a man. I'm pardoning my son. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's the difference. That's the difference. That's the difference. That's why people just respect Trump more, but he's different, man.
Eyebrows and saying what nerve you have.
Now, I agree with you 100%. I went light on that point in my open because I knew you were going to make it. I agree with you 100%. And he didn't have to do it that way. He could have just said what you said, which is, hey, look, I don't want them. He's my son, and they're going to go after him. And if I can protect him, I'm going to protect him. You know what else Biden should do? And I know people are going to get upset about this, but just think about it before you go crazy on me. Not you, everybody else. If I were he, I would pardon Trump.
You know something? Honestly,
I would say,
as crazy as this sounds, Chris, that's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Enough's enough. You know what? You're the Democrats. You lost the election. You got your butt whipped. You couldn't prevent him from going back to the White House. More than a dozen cases have been dropped against him. The cases that have been ruled against him, he's going to appeal, and he'll probably get off from having to deal with all of that. It's time to move forward. You want to get at Trump? Sit back and judge what he does. Guess what? You got a midterm election in 2 years. Are you going to be ready if you're the Democratic Party? You should be. He's going to be the presidency for 4 years. You're going to be able to judge every single act that he does. March forward, move forward. Gerald Ford could have let Nixon suffer. You know to say he didn't let that happen. Why? Because it was for the good of the country. The whole hanging Chads issue in 2000 between George W. Bush and Al Gore. Gore could have dragged it on. He didn't. It was for the better of the country. And a lot of times these folks speak about this stuff, but they don't do what they say they're going to do and what they implore others to do, which is where the disgust elevates exponentially for Washington, D.C., because we know they're full of it most of the time. And today was the latest example of that.
Listen here, I got to be honest with you, man. That's a fact. If Joe Biden was to pardon Trump, he would probably go down as one of the greatest presidents ever. The whole image of Joe Biden would change overnight. Overnight. No longer Sleepy Joe, he's Awake Joe. Right away. Right away, no doubt about it. Let me know y'all thoughts about this down in the comments, bro. I'd really like to know y'all thoughts, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stephen A was on fire, as usual. He voted completely wrong. I don't know why he did it, but he did it. And he's here now, having to say that he did it when he knew what the facts were before he even voted. It is what it is. It is what it is, Stephen A. It is what it is. But next time, you know better. You know better next time. We're not going to go off of identity politics. It's not what we're going to do. We're not going to go off of, I'm voting just because it's the first ever. Nope. We want the best person for the job, period. Period, point blank. Let me know y'all thoughts about this down in the comments below, man. I'd really like to know y'all thoughts. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate y'all viewership. Make sure you guys hit that like button on your way out and that subscribe button too for your boy. Till next time, man. Peace.